Hey everyone, I'm Tassinix, and welcome to a Plotting and Scheming Extra. We are doing the kit review for CC-1119 Appo. Not to be confused with Appa, which I have already done several times. I am joined by my regular co-hosts from the show, Dagger, TJ, Sasha, Aisha, and Fatal. Gentlemen, how are you guys doing today?
When you said that, you immediately made me think of that really awful Avatar movie.
I have fond
And I
memories of
can't
the
forgive you
animated
for
show
that.
that supersede anything that may or may
I
not
figured
have been murdered by M. Night Shyamalan.
I
That's
figured
fair.
more
Shyamalan
No,
along.
no,
Dingo.
that's fair. That's fair.
See,
I'm just saying
I
that you
took it.
immediately made a bunch of stuff just go through my head, and I don't appreciate some of it.
I went back to Riposte and Repose, Dick. It's
Fair.
like I
It's
made the mistake
preposterous.
on the name. It was the
Yeah.
age-old
Correct
fight.
me in the
That's where,
chat. Correct
that's
me
where I
in the
went.
chat.
That's where I went,
Sorry.
right? Because he's like, "Ree."
Yeah.
Mhm. So that's Dagger and TJ. Hey, and Sasha, how you guys doing?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Glad to be here, and I'm excited on this topic. It's
Yeah.
good to see LV get a little bit of help here.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dig into this here. So, unit name CC-1119 Appo. Alignment Dark Side. Categories Attacker, Clone Trooper, and Empire. Right, key attributes designated to create strong synergy with other Darkside clone troopers under Galactic Legend Lord Vader. Darkside clone troopers and Lord Vader will gain dramatic entrance at the start of the encounter, providing opening damage before Vader ramps up. And by the way, huge appreciation to CG for adding this, because having the effect dramatic entrance on Anakin, now Lord Vader, the most Anakin shit ever. So fantastic. Next, has the ability to dispel all buffs from all enemies, as well as instantly trigger damage over time stacks. And Appo fully heals at the start of battle, meaning this squad is extremely tricky to whittle down in GAC and TW. That is exciting. All right, lots of
I
inspiration.
would also, before we start, before we go, I would just like to point out, going into this season, at the time of recording, they have not updated Lord Vader's kit or Grand Moff Tarkin's kit.
Right.
So
And I
he
think
is not
that's
even all that useful as of this moment.
the Datacron bypasses, but I getting into the things like that. But I do agree with Dagon. I think it's a good call out that specifically right now we don't have the new Vader tie-in yet.
Yeah. So use at your discretion under him, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, like when we covered the Bad Batch team, we basically told everybody for each stage of the way that, oh, it looks like this, but we won't know till we have the full kit. And so it is here. Nevertheless, providing a path that is likely going to be just, amazing at the end of this, that frees up Maul. It's an exciting future, so we'll see what we got.
Yeah.
All right, strategy tips here. Order 66 is an important debuff, combining buff immunity and the inability to be revived. Time your use of Special 2 accordingly. Special 1 can stealth an ally Darkside clone trooper, which is an important mechanic in Disguised Clone Troopers kit. Somebody yet to be released. Summon in a Nightfall Trooper at the start of battle, and the effect of Operation Nightfall acts as a sort of endless ranks, giving you 3 Nightfall Troopers over the course of a battle. Okay. And then Coruscant Commander makes Lord Vader extremely hard to counter if you are bringing anything less than a galactic legend, as you need to defeat Lord Vader before Appo can be defeated. Jumping into his abilities. Let's start with unique stuff, right? Only just the one unique? We'll discuss the summon unit after we cover this. All right. Vader's Fist with a Zeta and an Omicron. Final text. Darkside clone trooper allies gain 5 speed for each enemy, excluding summons, at the start of battle, doubled for each Jedi and light side unaligned Force user enemy, and if all allies are Empire, summon a Nightfall Trooper into the ally slot. While an allied Nightfall Trooper is active, Appo has plus 50% offense. Whenever an enemy is defeated, reduce the cooldown of No Witnesses by 1. At the start of his turn, Appo dispels Foresight on all enemies. Enemies who had Foresight dispelled this way are exposed for 2 turns. At the start of the encounter, if the ally in the leader slot is Lord Vader, and all other allies are Darkside clone troopers, and there are no enemy galactic legends, Appo gains Coruscant Commander until the first time he is defeated, until the end of battle. Wow. Big mouthful. So yeah, he notes there whenever an enemy is defeated, the cooldown of no witnesses is reduced. The removal of Foresight, turning it into exposed. Nice. Continuing on, if the ally in the leader slot is Lord Vader and all other allies are Darkside clone troopers, at the start of battle, Appo recovers 100% health and protection. At the start of the encounter, allied Lord Vader and Darkside clone troopers gain dramatic entrance for 2 turns, which can't be dispelled, and Appo gains 3 stacks of Operation Nightfall, which can't be dispelled or prevented. There's this territory battle stuff, but I just want to read what this stuff does here. Coruscant Commander is defined as, this character can't be defeated if there is an active allied Lord Vader. Operation Nightfall is defined as, when Nightfall Trooper is defeated, remove 1 stack of Operation Nightfall from Appo and summon a Nightfall Trooper. Okay, and then it says that, how did that say? He starts with 3, so the initial summon that starts counts against that? Or is it this guy plus 3?
So whenever the guy is defeated, you remove a stack. So he spawns with 3 stacks. You kill it. He loses 1. Now it's down to 2. You get another trooper.
Okay,
goes down to 1,
but you
get another
start with
trooper.
1 for free, and then you get up to 3 more, so 4.
Yes, you can have up to 4. Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. All right, and then they add that this design note here, dramatic entrance, which I think is otherwise only seen in Fleet. So it's right that they redefine it here because it's the first time in Spawn.
Poe, right?
Huh?
This is Poe, right?
Yes, I think so. If you bring him in as a reinforcement. Anyway, dramatic entrance is defined as plus 25% offense. So it's a buff. The character who has it has plus 25% offense. Deal bonus true damage equal to 10% of the target's max health, which can't be evaded. Gain 20% turn meter and dramatic entrance for 2 turns if this unit defeats an enemy. It can snowball on. All right, and about Nightfall Trooper itself, the summoned unit. Final text for the basic Imperial March. Deal physical damage to target enemy and grant defense penetration up to the strongest ally that didn't already have it for 2 turns. During Nightfall Trooper's turn, call all other attacker allies with defense penetration up to assist. First special, Defender of the Empire. Call a random Darkside clone trooper support ally to assist, and they stealth for 1 turn. Then deal physical damage to target enemy. Appo and Nightfall Trooper gain advantage for 1 turn. So I think that happens after the rest of it. But I checked. I don't think we see any Darkside clone trooper support yet. So this is calling out a yet unreleased member of this team. All right. The unique Battalion Brothers. Whenever Nightfall Trooper uses an ability, he gains 20% offense stacking, doubled if he scores a critical hit. So yeah, it seems like offense and basis of crit chance would be a pretty solid move here. Somebody's going to have to do the homework to find out what the scaling is on the summon. I wonder how much crit chance you actually need to provide onto Appo himself for this. All right, and then this is the TB Omicron stuff. So that's whatever. By the way, if you care about TB Omicrons, I'm sure there will be a special mission released to complement this, and I'm sure you'll be able to just dust it with a TB Omicron. Any thoughts so far on that unique, guys?
Honestly, so I'm thinking of this team in the sense of the 501st. If you remember the Gas 501st, remember how they all kind of have their own roles where they all kind of fit together.
Mm-hmm.
This guy feels like a combination of Echo and Arc, where I think the biggest. I'm not saying his abilities aren't good. We'll get to those, but I think the biggest value this guy is going to bring to the table is his unique. Like, this unique is absurd. If you have all troopers and you're trying to off counter this fucker can't die till Lord Vader's dead.
So
no, and
And then you have another trooper that, like, first off, this guy can't die until Lord Vader's dead, and then you can't even like get to the night trooper because he'll anyway, I'm just saying, like, this guy feels very much like the unique of the team, if that makes sense. Not that he won't be good, but it feels like this is the TJ's going to call it the first piece of the puzzle. I think is what he called it.
I think it's a strong start. Go ahead, Fatal. I definitely want to hear what you have to say.
The Night Trooper has 55% base crit chance, doesn't scale any at all, inherits 70% of offense, 60% of max health, 0% of max protection, and 70% of speed. So
And where can this be found? Where could somebody reference this? Is this publicly
you
available?
can find that in my Discord server when Lysias the Fox posts stuff when I update it.
Fantastic. Yeah, Lysias often has little helpful things like that. So
Lysias is overpowered.
fair, very fair.
I'm just gonna say, playing the event just to start off, that damage from that unit feels very ominous or reminiscent of Luthen's unit. I'm going to just level set there. So I think, obviously, Dagger and I went back and forth on this, but it still feels like a warm fuzzy as far as what I think we're going to see with this team. And as a base piece unit, I am extremely excited to see where we end. Because looking at what he can do, and he's not slow, which is cool as shit, right? Because I put mods on him and did all that, and I know we'll talk about everything else. He's not slow. He is actually a pretty fast unit for being an attacker. I like that. I see a lot of things coming, but either way, I know I don't want to get ahead, but it's like the unit for that unique and what this is. I don't know if Fatal's going to say something different, and I don't want to counter anything else. I'd be excited to hear it, but it's like just playing the base game. So whatever they did, watching the unit, it felt like it was doing a good amount of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this guy makes me excited for the rest of the team because I have a suspicion that this isn't even the best kit we're gonna get.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So this guy himself doesn't move the needle a ton because you have to basically pull Maul off the team for him to work, even after they fix the leadership and everything. So this guy doesn't move the needle for me personally yet, but he does excite me for the rest of the team.
Yeah. Now before we
sorry, what's up, Sasha?
I was just going to add. I mean, I'm enthusiastic about the very limited amount I've seen because it checks what historically has been like the biggest unchecked box for Vader squads, particularly without Maul, is where does the damage come from, particularly early on. And in just a little bit of my arena testing with him, I mean, each of, Appo and the Summon are very legit, very dangerous damage dealers. And then, having to put them, like, basically have them survive until LV has been whittled down if you don't bring a GL, like, immediately led me to change my relic planning. I had an R9 set for BKM, and I'm like, well, gosh, for two reasons I can see why I might want to give that to Appo instead of to BKM. Both his ascension and her, I think, being at real risk of not being able to take this down. So I don't know. I haven't tested any of that, but it did that, like, strong enthusiasm about the amount of just damage output even before we see the rest.
Yeah, for sure. And the tie-in of where it's at, obviously we have more to come. But getting to see it, play it, watching some of Arnold was using it, and then everything else, where it's going and what it's doing, and we know they're in the raid. So, being what they're going to be, which I think is a lifter team. I'm not going to call it lifter unit. The lifter team, right? Is it fair? Because they're changing the dynamic of what Vader's going to do, how it's going to apply. We're going to see the move of the needle for his ult. This is his team. The lifter team feels, once we see it all, will be very good. But this guy feels, yes, he's an attacker and all that, but I can see the R9. I see the potential for what Sasha's saying for a number of reasons.
Also, just a quick point out, we'll get to the kit, but the only worry I have with this team, and it'll be solved, I'm sure, by the future units, but I just want to point it out, is what is Lord Vader's ult speed going to look like with this team?
Right.
Maul supercharges that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure
Yeah,
there'll
that's
be
very true.
something. The way that I understand that they're intending to rework Lord Vader is reworking the clauses in his ultimate. So I'm sure there's going to be
I
a
don't
relationship.
know.
there.
We've seen recent releases directly contribute to Old Charge, so I wouldn't
That's
worry.
true.
Now, before we continue through the rest of the kit, I would like you guys to keep in mind when we get to the end, I'll ask you how you think to mod this. And I mean, because there's that clause where you can't kill him until Lord Vader's dead when the condition is met, and the summon itself comes back, 3 more times, and starting out with one. The thing that I'm wondering is when we get to the end of this kit, do we mod him just straight up, just insane Captain Insano offense, like fast offense, or is it something like, I don't know, protection prime, like more like gas mods, protection primary for cross and arrow, high offense, high speed, whatever, but like add some survivability in there? I feel like the survivability might be redundant with all of the other stuff going on there. But I'd like you guys to keep that in mind for when we get to the end of the kit. All right, we've covered the unique, we've covered the summon. Let's zoom back around to the basic. Imperial March. Final text. Deal physical damage to target enemy and grant defense penetration up for 2 turns to the strongest ally that didn't already have it. During Appo's turn, call all other attacker allies with defense penetration up to assist. So yeah, if he himself is called to attack outside of his turn, that'll hand out this defense penetration up. But on his own turn, it's a mass assist for allies with defense pen up.
I wonder who the strongest attacker ally is going to be. So weird.
Yeah.
Who
Definitely favoring
could
the
that
Dark
be?
Lord.
Remember, you'll get it first. Somebody else is going to get it next.
Yeah, that's right. And then the enemy team's going to get it. You dig?
Yeah.
All right, special 1. Nightfall. Cooldown of 4. Final text. Dispel all buffs on all enemies. Deal physical damage to target enemy and stun them for 1 turn. Then call a random Darkside clone trooper support ally to assist. The ally that assists stealths at the end of Appo's turn, of 1 turn, so like for 1 turn. I think that's what that. Appo and Nightfall Trooper gain critical damage up for 2 turns. Okay.
This is the second time we've had this clause because this is his summon also has this same clause of call a random dark side clone support ally to assist.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is one of the lines in here that makes me think that whoever this is, there's going to be one of them, and he's going to be nasty.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh yeah, no, that looks like it's going to be good. The AoE offensive dispel; those are generally pretty rare, particularly for Darkside. All right,
I do like
mean,
dispel. I do like popping the dots. I was talking with. Wait, no, this isn't the one that pops the dots, is it?
This
Hold
next
on.
one is the one that's going to do that. We'll talk about it.
Yeah,
you're going to say.
I'm going to start here though. The only thing I want to bring up is tying into the fact that you can't gain buffs. So again, sticking to the unique and then dispelling all buffs. One of Vader's and Fatal's called this several times when we've talked about the things that are the killers are the taunts. And if we're being able to remove the buff and then you can't gain the buff, we have free reign to start getting into the people and start getting to the team and whittling them down faster. So the remove and the lock is a really huge asset on somebody who has potentially always been stuck whenever their taunt is there. Any sticky taunts really whoop that ass. So I'm excited to see this is coming around this fast on a character again who is fast.
Sure. All right, Sasha. I'm sorry. So somebody else was trying to chime in.
Oh no, what I was going to say it has to do with the next ability. So.
Oh, okay. No worries. All right. Special 2. No witnesses. Cooldown of 4 with a Zeta. Final text. Deal physical damage and trigger all stacks of damage over time on all enemies. Nightfall Trooper assists and gains advantage for 2 turns. If Lord Vader is in the allied leader slot and the target enemy has 8 or more stacks of damage over time, inflict Order 66 on the target enemy for 2 turns which can't be copied, dispelled, evaded, or resisted. You gon' get this. And Order 66 is defined as immune to buffs and can't be revived if defeated. Hideous.
I have a question for you guys. If anybody happens to know how this works, when it triggers a dot, and I know we have this elsewhere in the game, but I couldn't recall. If you have a dot that's, for example, a 2-turn dot on an enemy unit, and you trigger that dot, are you shortening the duration of it, or is it just adding an incidence of damage to that dot?
Isn't it just adding the incidents? It's not. I don't know if it's actually changing any of the structure.
It is
Just
inflicting
making.
the damage immediately. I don't recall if it expires the dots or not, because I've only remember doing
Yeah.
it for the Lord Vader lead. So
No,
I can't.
I wouldn't imagine
Right.
it breaks the duration at all. I would imagine it just
Right.
procs.
Yeah.
Think of it, to me, it's like I take the idea of when the bombs explode, right? Again, I understand this is another one, but it's like we're going to trigger the effect, but you get to keep what's there. So it's not going away.
Also worth mentioning really quick, Lord Vader takes his turn, puts down 2 dots on everyone he crushes. I believe that's 4 dots, so that's 6.
Mhm.
You're still missing 2.
Yep. And it's missing those 2 or accelerating the expiration of those that had me wondering, because that that special certainly makes 8 dots really appealing to target.
Yeah, so it makes me think that somebody else on this team is going to put down dots, and then you're going to want this guy to go after them.
Is it that, or are they going to speed the turn of Vader to come around again?
Or that, or you want him to go after Lord Vader's second turn.
But you see what I mean? Like it's like you're true, or we could see Vader taking a million turns, and it's naturally getting you to the 8.
Vader can't gain turn meters, so
But you can pass bonus turn
swap.
Right, and if the AI sets it up, like we know. So if you look at just look at Piet. If Piet and Vader are on the team, Piet's marking Vader. It's hands down.
I understand. I'm only speaking about what we currently have so far. So if you wanted to try to maximize this with what we have so far, you're going to want him to go after Vader's second turn.
I would want Piet,
because then there'll be 8 dots. I don't care about.
I don't think it's very hard to do.
I'm talking about making this ability happen.
Right, and I'm saying Vader goes. To your point, Vader goes. Piet pushes, or Thrawn pushes, and then you're into the.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. I'm thinking Mark. I meant Thrawn.
Yeah,
but it's
that's what I was saying.
Back of the bonus turn. Yeah, sorry. But it's like I don't see that being very hard mechanically to get us to the natural 8.
Yeah. No, that would work too. I was mostly thinking if you're trying to set this up, that's what I said. There has to be somebody else.
Yeah, your turn order. Yeah. I think your turn order. I think you're right. Getting that 1 speed set up, so maybe Vader, Thrawn, Appo, or Vader, Thrawn.
Oh, too soon. No. They need to all be dark side clone trooper allies, right? That's what it's intended to be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no Thrawn on this team.
Yeah, there's no Darth Vader on this team either. So don't think you're throwing in extra dots with Darth Vader. He doesn't have a place here.
That's why I was saying, that's why there has to be somebody else that does dots. Otherwise, you're slowing this guy way the F down to make sure he goes after Lord Vader's second turn if you're trying to maximize this ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, turn order being important.
So that said, guys, we did complete reading over the kit here. So what say you all on the mods? Just granted, early days, we don't know the full team kit. This may yet be adjusted, but in itself, what do you think?
His base crit chance at R8 is under 50%.
So a 2-piece of crit chance then.
I would just mod
you're going to need a whole lot more than a 2-piece of crit chance.
Sorry, what was that, Fatal?
I would just mod for summon adherence.
The offense essentially, and health primary on circle, and
I was saying I was mostly saying I would skip the CC modding and just go bulk in offense.
My actual answer is I would not use Appo until we get some more dark side clones, but
Yeah,
I said that at the beginning. I don't. This guy doesn't move the needle for me personally until we get more clones.
For sure. Yeah, I guess at least
We
there's
also have to
those
see
two
if any of
ways
the
to
other
go.
clones give him crit chance. If one of the clones has like a unique that says dark side clones get 50% crit chance, then it's like cool crit damage and all. You know what I mean? Like
They
Right,
have been
yeah.
doing that too. They
Yeah,
have been
so-
building in for the team when Vader's in the leader slot or whatever else. This applies. We watched it with Ahsoka, the team, like with Hu Yang and the other pieces. We watched it with the Bad Batch team. They are now steadily building in when this is met, you get these additional benefits.
yeah, because the Nightfall Trooper doesn't inherit the crit chance and has a base of 70, it really makes me think that one of these troopers is going to give crit chance on the unique to the other troopers.
Including summons
Oh.
types thing.
Sure, I mean, like he has the tags, right? So like it would
Mhm.
just apply to him because he's summoned.
And
Right.
summoned units can be beneficiaries of Datacron stats, yes, no?
I am not sure.
I might
Isn't
think
it
it, I might
apply-
think it
hold
wouldn't
on.
work because the summon, to my understanding, would
No,
kick
but it
in.
applies to. So if I'm not mistaken, it applies to the unit. So your team, like a Luthen or something else, and then that would in turn apply downward to the effect of the unit. Because
Yeah.
Base Datacron stats may apply, but bulk may not.
Okay.
That's possible. Yeah, I
So
From
don't
my
crit chance
understanding,
could boost the.
From my
some-
understanding, the actual stats on Datacrons apply to summons. The level 3, 6s, and 9s do
Right.
not.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So
That's
then
what I
crit
mean. It's
chance
like,
can be
yeah.
used to modify these guys from a Datacron. So that's worth noting, regardless of how
Yeah.
the rest of the kit turns out.
Yeah, this kit makes me super excited to see the next one or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm specifically excited for the support.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
it's-
curious
it's
to
been
see what
That's
teed
a good
up.
one.
as well.
Yeah, the support. It's funny. We're all waiting for the tank, right? I agree. Seeing what the support does to the other mechanics of the team. Yeah, that's yeah.
Well, the tank is going to do one of two things. The tank is either going to be like a bruiser tank, like a Balin or a Bow, where it's going to do a shit ton of damage and just kind of exist as like a bulk outlet, or it's going to be more of a passive tank where it'll give something like a savior to Lord Vader or some dumb shit like that, right?
Well, that's
Like,
why I'm agreeing with you. It's like
it'll either be a mechanics based tank or it'll just be a bruiser based tank.
that's what
They
I'm
don't really
saying. I'm
make they
agreeing
don't
with
really
you.
make they don't really make crews anymore. They don't really make royal guards anymore.
Well,
That's why I'm saying I agree with you. It's just on the mechanics of it. Seeing what the support is going to do, I feel like at the bigger cornerstone, since we're seeing the attacker come out of the gate swinging, right? So I agree with you. The support for this
What
one.
were we going to say, Fatal? Sorry.
that's kind of the issue here is a lot of people don't realize that having to kill Lord Vader first is like not a big deal. Specifically if we're talking about cutting Royal Guard from the squad. Royal Guard does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of like, hey, if you ignore me, I'm just going to be a general pain in the ass and offer per turn regen if you're like insist on beating up on the dude. But yeah, like we've seen CG, CG gave Watts tank tech text to Darth Bane. We've seen CG give like Newt's unique to Stap. That they're aware that like there are just some mechanics that like spiritually function well with the team that even if they're printing a replacement, sometimes they'll let some of that carry over.
That was what I was going to say. Is like, don't you think because of how well they did Royal Guard that they won't simply just reprint that setup for the tank?
Or give him some kind of Talon-esque unique where it's like,
That'd be good.
yeah, the leader gets like a mini savior, and whenever you hit the leader, everybody else gains turn meter. But you also have to kill Lord Vader first, so fuck you.
I'm not worried about like CG gave us their statement of intent that it's a good goal, and I hope that they achieve it. But yeah, for now, Appo's kind of just a dude. He doesn't really do much.
Yeah, early days. It's like trying to, like we said before, it's trying to read like the Gungan kit based on the first Gungan release. Like, I
wouldn't be shocked to see some sort of like turn swap with Lord Vader, because otherwise Appo's Order 66 seems a bit tragic.
Yeah, or something else that otherwise forces out another couple stacks of dot, for sure.
Yeah, there's got to be some character that generates a bunch of dots, actually, I think, because then all of a sudden no witnesses would become like a pseudo nuke. If
That's why I'm
LV's
excited
only-
for the support. I expect it to be on the support. That because I expect the support to put it down on basic, which is why he keeps getting called to assist on all these abilities.
well, there's probably going to be 2 supports, right?
It could
And only
be.
one
It
tag.
could
The
be.
random
Depends.
does make me think you're right. The random does make me think 2 supports. Yeah.
I like gas.
That's a good
the
read,
arc
actually.
echo.
Yeah,
Well-
it's going to be 2 tanks, 2 support, or sorry, 1 tank, 2 supports, 2 attackers.
I can see it because, as I said, I think the call for arc echo, right? Literally, here's the tank, so there's your arc, and then the tie-in. And I also think a fast way to go is exactly what was being said, and it's just pass back to Vader, pass back to Vader, pass back to Vader, and so because the one thing that speeds up, obviously, Maul helping with that, but also the more turns Vader is taking, the more turns that are setting it up for him to get to quicker ults, and the more things are happening.
And one of these clone troopers is going to have something in their unique or ability about at the beginning of your turn, everybody takes 1% health damage or something like that, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
there's going to be something in one of these clone troopers where it's just going to turbocharge his ult.
Well, we can sit here and fantasize about the highest heights that this team might reach in the very near future. But before we close this one down, guys, any other comments you wanted to throw in about this character?
Get excited.
Yeah,
This is probably the second or third best kit we're getting.
I would actually wager that this is probably the weakest kit that we're going to get. Tanks and supports tend to have the sauce these days.
Okay. Bold prediction. I like it. TJ, you were going to say something?
I think I like what Dagger said at one point when we were talking about it. This is a very strong start, right? No matter where we go, what it's calling out, where it has the potential to go, is a very strong start. And the only other thing I want to call out is I do like with this bespoke that says basically with his level 9 on it, the requirement is met on the datacron. So first clause, setting in that bespoke datacron, sets the clause to be met as far as your team being or needing to be this or that.
Like you mean Dark Side Clone Trooper?
Yeah. It's that bespoke is calling it out, saying that as long as your team is Lord Vader in the lead, blah blah blah, the requirement is met.
Okay, but you still don't really have any team here for 5 vs 5, not even really for 3 vs 3 yet, yeah?
Just a quick note. 188 base speed's really good. At R8, under 50% crit chance. His protection pool is higher than his health pool. And I think that that's going to be true of all of these clones because they're going to convert their protection into health. So it's going to incentivize you to put the prot primaries on them. Also, a deviation from the ridiculously high base tenacities that new characters have gotten. And I wonder if that means something. It probably doesn't. But that just kind of popped out at me that he has a 58% base tenacity, where it feels like most of the new characters these days are like 100 to 120.
Yeah, they're really pushing the numbers for it, yeah.
And he's a strength attacker. So, yeah.
Very good.
That's all.
All right. Sasha, any last comment from you?
He is not here.
Okay, he had to step out. He did say he might have to take a call here while we were recording, so that's all right. We appreciate the comments we got from him. Thank you guys for joining me for this conversation. Thank you all for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, hit subscribe on the channel to see more. And until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.